With Smash Bros. Ultimate coming to the Switch in December, I want to talk about a game that's been the bane of Nintendo's existence when trying to find a compromise with its players. Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64 was released in 1999 to critical acclaim. It was a fighting game series no one has ever seen before. No more health bars because we have percents. We win by knocking the other person off the stage rather than having them hit 0 HP. It wasn't just that the characters were already unique and fun to play. It was that you already knew the characters when you got to play them in Smash Bros. Nintendo used their most beloved characters as fighters in the game, and it worked extremely well. You know the Jumpman Mario, the electric Pokemon Pikachu, and the hero of Hyrule Link, and their games were all super enjoyable to play. That was something our fearless leader, Masahiro Sakurai, and HAL Laboratories nailed with this game. They already knew that variety was important in a fighting game, but it was also important to know the characters beyond the game. Each fighting stage was something super unique to the game that they came from, and people already had their favorites before playing the game. With Street Fighter, you might like the character you're playing and the stage gimmicks, but you won't get the depth of who the character is because it's not possible to do in a single fighting game. As the title shows though, this video is about Melee when compared to the other games in the franchise. The best description I've heard of Melee as a competitive fighter is that it was a happy accident. Melee was not supposed to be the game that it is today, being played on a gigantic stage in Vegas once a year to 200,000 people watching top 8, not counting the dozens of majors throughout the US every year, not even counting the tournaments in Japan and Europe. This doesn't even include the regional and local tournaments that hundreds of people practice at either. Also, did I mention that this game is played on a CRT and with a GameCube in 2018? With the ability to do 4K, this makes Melee seem like it's living in the Stone Age. All this sounds crazy, but I want to tell you why so many people, myself included, consider Melee to be the best fighting game ever made. Let's start by talking about Melee in the multitude of ways it can be approached. Single player, you have Classic Mode, Adventure Mode, and All-Star Mode, all for unique challenges. You do them a couple times and maybe get a little bored. Then you can check out the Home Run Contest, Break the Targets, event matches, or the various modes of Multi-Man Melee. You want to go on a fool's errand too? They have you covered with collecting all of the trophies. All of this doesn't include the thousands of hours that you can enjoy the game by playing it multiplayer with friends on the 29 different stages. Our fearless leader, Masahiro Sakurai, knew how important it was to have variety even in fighting games, and because of this, it was loved for many different reasons. I can't talk about Melee without mentioning the competitive scene, which is one of the reasons why this is such a huge game in the present day. Melee insanity is a thing, believe it or not, and they have embraced something that you wouldn't expect. This game accepts glitches as part of the meta. Samus can travel crazy quick across the stage with the Super Wave Dash. Link and Young Link can instantly warp to the top of the stage with an odd boomerang exploit, and that's just a couple of examples. Stages have glitches too. There was a national tournament recently where a player, S2J, spiked another player, Plup, through the center of Pokemon Stadium. Plup still won the set, but the game where he died through the center of the stage still counted. This game has a casual scene too, with some bars having Melee, some arcades having Melee, but it doesn't actually compare to the numbers that competitive Smash brings in. If you guys have followed this channel for a while, you know I play Smash 4 competitively and not Melee. While I personally love Smash 4, even though Bayo tested that a lot, and play it more, it doesn't compare to my enjoyment watching and playing Melee. I'm also not a person to say that Brawl sucked. I loved it a lot and thought the Subspace Emissary was the best addition that was made to any Smash Bros. Game. I even cited a lack of good single-player modes is why I don't consider Smash 4 in my top games, even with the crazy amount of time I spent playing it. Well, nevertheless, let's jump into the controversial one, Brawl. Brawl was made for the casual scene. Nintendo felt the competitive community was fairly restrictive, which, not arguing there, but Brawl was 15 steps too far in that regard. While Brawl has a fantastic single-player mode and an amazing cast of characters, it also removed so much of what Melee special. Tripping was added, which I kinda saw as a middle finger to the Melee competitive scene, and the game was slowed down to reward a different kind of playstyle. Now, let's talk about the Brawl competitive scene. Do you like Meta Knight? If not, don't go anywhere near this game competitively. Without Meta Knight, a very slow, campy playstyle was required to win at the higher levels. It's either you get chain grabbed to death by ice climbers, banana camped by Diddy Kong, or something with Olimar. I don't really know what he did, I know he's good in the game though. Our fearless leader, Mashed Potato Samurai, made decisions that would make some people happy and some people very, very mad. Brawl was meant to appease a different audience, and there's nothing wrong with doing so. In that way, Brawl succeeded easily. Its online might not have been the best when trying to play with friends, but those are all minor road bumps when playing with your buddies. This one might only be a complaint of mine, but I was extremely let down at the break the targets mode in Brawl. There were a couple of generic ones at least, but nothing unique to the game the fighter came from, and removing of the targets mode continued in Smash 4. This is actually my main complaint with Brawl 2. You probably know the short responses of Brawl being bad because it's not competitive like Melee or as fast as Melee, but do you know what Brawl did that was amazing? The Masterpiece Collection, where you can play a short bit of the games where the characters came from. You want to know about your new favorite fighter? Try out the demo included in the game. The stage builder one isn't the best, but it gave more customization options which fighting games usually don't have. But when you compare Brawl to Melee, you can cite examples of game tag, but I think it all boils down to this. Brawl is a good sequel to Melee and giving more options to play the game and expanding on its single player variety. In a viewership sense, and what can make a compelling esport, it falls short. Brawl was made to be a slower game with a different audience in mind. Here's where I'm going to give the spotlight to an actual Super Smash Bros. Hack. And this is where Melee Insanity comes in. Have you heard of Project M? If not, it's a Brawl mod made by the Smash Bros. Community to play like Melee. They added back almost all of the great competitive Melee mechanics like L canceling and wave dashing, and even updated it regularly to balance the cast. They created new stages, adding new game modes that Smash Bros. Games didn't have, like the All-Star mode which Ultimate is adding, more neutral stages, and basically made the game that they wanted Brawl to be. However, there is one huge problem with Project M. It's not technically legal. Throwing competitive tournaments with an illegal game and money on the line, you better believe that Nintendo is going to have an issue with that. Nintendo has every right to do this, and they eventually did stop them from updating the game, which pissed me off because they were adding Lyn, Isaac, and Knuckles for the new 4.0 update, but I feel like they should have known that they were going to upset the competitive scene when they released Brawl. So, what's left to talk about except Smash 4? It's a fun game with a couple of issues that I feel like make it a worse sequel in the Smash Bros. Name than Brawl. So, let's start the controversy. While Smash 4 has an overall better feel playing the game than Brawl does, the lack of options is pretty bad. You can play a ton of different characters, and on a lot of different stages too. But that's not what I talk about when I say lack of options. The single player modes in Smash 4 suck. Yep, I said it. I never did this normal single player mode more than a couple of times because it wasn't as good as 64, Melee, or Brawl's classic mode. Also, did you guys like fighting Master Core? Because I thought it was pretty underwhelming. Break the Targets is now gone, but they had time to put in Smash Tour. Yay! I did play that mode a couple of times with friends, just so I can see what it was, but we never played more than probably 3 times. The stage builder mode was better in Smash 4, but that's nothing to keep your attention for crazy extended play sessions. Nothing besides event mode really kept me playing. Master Orders and Crazy Orders were interesting, but it barely kept me entertained for longer than 5 minutes. Add a level 9 computer and a frame 1 reaction time, which is better than what's humanly possible. No wonder I can't stand to play this game unless I'm facing another person. That being said though, playing 1v1 in this game is freaking fantastic. Playing doubles or even 4-player free-for-all is awesome as well. 8-player Smash can be pretty chaotic, but it's still nice either way. In terms of a sequel in the Smash Bros. Dynasty, I wanted this game to feel better to play than Brawl, which it did, and to expand on the single-player experience that has done so well up to that point, which it didn't. Ultimate can redeem the Smash Bros. Series a bit. In terms of single-player options, Smash 4 was lacking heavily, but there's no reason to get into that again. We've already seen all the characters that are coming back to the game, and there are more stage options than ever before. There's more music tracks, game modes, and more characters yet to be announced. And my dream for Ultimate has a couple things that I would really like to see added. Bomberman is a playable character in the game, not an assist trophy. And the Subspace Emissary 2 happens, and I don't really care if it's worse than Brawl, I would just like to see a good story mode in the game. Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64 was a daring attempt to switch up the fighting game formula that Street Fighter, Tekken, and Mortal Kombat followed. I think it was obviously a crazy huge success. Melee took Smash 64 and made it something that nobody expected it to become, one of the biggest esports in the fighting game community. Then comes Brawl, and I think it deserves more credit than it usually gets. I know my Melee buddies will give me crap for it, but I still think that it was a good successful sequel. The gameplay might not be the best, but it progressed the series in the right way in terms that we've already talked about before. Next, Smash 4 improves on the slower gameplay of Brawl, but it falls short of what I would consider to be a good sequel to the series. Even though the roster and stage list grew substantially, the Masterpiece collections grew as well, and there was more music tracks than ever before, it changed things from Brawl that didn't need fixing. Smash Bros. Is a celebration of everything Nintendo, and now you can argue that it's expanding further than that with Cloud's addition to the game. It was meant to be a party game with everybody's favorite fighters from their respective game series. We can debate the way that Smash Bros. Was meant to be played till the end of time, but I think whatever way that you have fun playing the game is the right way to play it. So what'd you think of the video? Which Smash Bros. Game is your favorite? Who's your favorite fighter? Or what's your favorite stage to play on? Any of those things, let me know, because I love the Smash Bros. Series and I would love to hear what you guys have to say about it. Or if you think I missed something, please let me know in the comment section below too. Either way, this is Nick, signing off.